welcome. Such a beautiful feeling on, in fact, the last day, 9. Just this continuity, the opportunity, this different insights that all accumulate and help each other. And yesterday, this aspect of how it maps onto the wheel of time, it connects to other things like the Ram and Sita. She goes to Kingdom of Ravan, and then there is the time where she understands through knowledge of Ram. So how this is the bigger story of everyone. And in terms of real leadership, rulership, it's this aspect of this time, this confluence age, as was discussed yesterday. I like the way it was put. I am indeed a king because I know how to rule myself. So it's not an outer sovereignty in the kingdom of Ravan that is the real power, but it's the rule of the mind. And even we're all learning, we might forget there are different strategies we need. But this is a very interesting quote by Erasmus: in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So even a little understanding, a little insight here, it's so helpful to shine light. First, that all are good, all are safe. There's a journey, that presence, just to see others. Even we forget, we come back. That has great power. So we like to hear your experiences, your thoughts on any aspect. Always welcome. And now I'd like to hand over to Prashant and thank you.
Hello, and welcome back. I appreciate your marathon for all these sessions, 9 sessions. And over these sessions, we have discussed the subject of the real world. We have discussed the subject of the true, our own truth, and the biggest prize we can have, what the options of intellects we have, and what is the reality of this physical world. These are all, we are spending our life here, and these are basic areas everyone need to know, but it is opportunity for us to understand, explore it together. We have discussed about God, and dabbled into the insights into paranormal. So we will be speaking today about our broadly we are going to speak about prophets and prophetic incarnation and God's incarnation. That is this area we are going to discuss. So I will be using the whiteboard as always. So, you know, we spoke about souls. Souls come in the body, physical body, and uh, and the souls come in the body around 100 days of pregnancy. That is like a broad number, broad figure. It is not absolute for everyone, and that largely applies. I came across one lady, who had in vitro fertilization, and so she knew when the ovum was implanted. And on 100 days of pregnancy, which means after implantation, 100 days, she she actually saw the soul coming into her abdomen. So that's why I'm using the word 100 days. But broadly, between 3 months of pregnancy to 5 months, this is around the time the soul enters. Medical world says after fifth month of pregnancy, consciousness is there in the soul. In other words, after that time, the soul is hearing the sound, because ears are developed by that time, and the baby responds to the sound after the fifth month of pregnancy. So that language used is consciousness is definitely there. If there is certain sound, certain babies like some music, some babies don't like certain music, and they react. Parents, mother tells you that this is what happens. So that is, let us say, 100 days of pregnancy this applies to large majority. Now, with prophet souls, there is another phenomena that happens, and what it is, they do not come in the womb of the mother the way it happens with everyone else. They come in an adult body directly. So this is something new, different phenomena, and let us try and understand this. I'm giving here the example of Christ. So let us say here is Jesus. I'm using the word Jesus and Christ as separate. And a child is born, is called Jesus, and there is a soul. It is a normal, the whole process. There is a soul associated with that body, and let us say the whole journey is of Jesus. When the body is of 30 years of age, and history tells us that there was a sudden change. In a very short time, there was a change. And the the change that the others experienced was not some minor change. Here is suddenly the one who has knowledge of God and convinced about God, not just some theory. He is talking with conviction, and he has power, and he can do miracles, and he established a religion. And today there are more than billions, 2 billion, 2.4 billion people are worshipping, and many more are celebrating Christmas. Gives an idea. So how did that happen? Did he read some book and suddenly change happened? It doesn't happen in many others like this. The spiritual knowledge says that prophet soul came in that body when he was 30 years of age, and it is a separate soul. And this prophet soul played the part through the body, and both souls were together in the body, and they both played a part together. But prophet soul has his own mission, understanding, and he's a new soul. He has come from the home. The other soul, we can say human soul, soul of Jesus. And he is born to the womb, gone through the childhood, and he plays that part. Even it is very interesting that first 100 years of Christianity, this is what you will hear in the history books. If you read history of Christianity, you'll hear that first 100 years of Christianity, they spoke exactly like this. They said that there was a human soul and then a divine soul, they used the word, came in the body, and I played that part when he was 30 years of age. And that is the reason they said it was a virgin birth. Birth of prophet did not involve lust, and that's why it is a virgin birth. They also said that at the time of death, both souls live and continue to play their separate journey. They are not in the one body afterwards, they play different parts. But the history tells that at the time of death, on the cross, last words were not a prophetic birth. They were not words of conviction. They were words of doubt. So how did that happen? And they said the prophet's soul had left the body by that time. So the human soul was still there, prophet's soul. Prophet's soul has no um, bondage, attachment. He can live when he wants, and it was easy for him to live. Whereas the human soul couldn't live just that easily. And so human soul, he stays longer, and he's the one who suddenly notices that a other soul has left. And so why has thou forsaken me? That statement that came last moment, that is a statement. Those are the words, not of prophet, not of conviction, but there is a doubt. That is the way they describe. So if we will give you the references from the history of Western philosophy and Christianity by Bertrand Russell, the references, what Bertrand Russell writes in this context. Now, even more interesting, 30 years we are talking here. This is rather significant for prophetic um, life. You will see the same pattern with Buddha. When Buddha was um, 30 years of age, he was called Gautam, and when he was 30 years of age, there was a transformation, and big transformation, just similar to the way we see with Jesus. And again, 30 years. We will see the same pattern with Muhammad. And Muhammad himself used to say that Archangel Gabriel is using my body. So you will see that pattern. You will see the same pattern recent, all the founders of religions. You will see this pattern. You will see the same pattern. Recent prophets, Vivekananda, you will see that similar pattern. You will see the same pattern with Aurobindo. I know a little bit more about Aurobindo. Aurobindo was a student in Cambridge, in King's College. And after he went back to India from here, he was in politics, but he was in the extreme right wing of political spectrum, very different to Gandhi, which means he believed in violence against the British rule. And he was in the blacklist, of the British rule. His activity were underground. But at the age of 30, there was a transformation, and he was not interested in politics. He left British India, went to Pondicherry, which was French territory that time. And there is an ashram in Pondicherry, and it is a big ashram. Now there are, it is a lots of things happening. Uh, at the age of 30, Aurobindo was 30 years of age. There are also, other people, some miracle men. I met one such miracle man who can bend spoons and things like that. And he said, "How do you explain what you are doing? How what is happening? And he said, he got few theories about this, but one theory is that when he was 6 years of age, he saw light entering into his forehead. That's what he says. He says, I wonder if there is any significance to that. But he said, I saw light entering into his forehead. And since that time, this is happening. That is his one explanation. So again, this is a phenomenon. Two souls using the same body and the other soul having powers, and because uh, uh, in early Christians, they also believed that if that divine soul of Christ was to come in the womb, by the time he is an adult, he would have lost power and he would not have been able to perform the task he performed. So to perform that particular task, he has to come in an adult body directly. That is the way they understood it, early Christians. Sometimes here at Inner Space, we have students coming from, there is a college called Divinity College here. And in that college, there are people who study theology, Christianity, and there are staff, professors. And when they come and when they are attending, when we speak this subject, they agree with it. They say this is there in the early Christianity. Now, we might think, oh, early Christians, now we are modern. But early Christians is, what Christ spoke, that is early Christians. That is not, sort of old-fashioned Christianity. That is the main Christianity. Now it is all, sort of human intervention, and so that is that sort of explanation. This knowledge says after the prophet's soul leaves the body, he continues to work for the task that he started. That is another thing that happens in the journey of the souls. Whatever we start, that we end up coming back to it and complete it. And there is a sort of theory, recently it is in the news, in Barcelona, there is a huge architectural task that was started some years ago, 100 years ago, something like that. And the architect died halfway, so that the whole task got stopped because the architect was not there. And it is now completed by someone who was born after he died. So some people think, is it the same soul, who has come again in another body, and he's an architect and he completed that task. S- And it may be, now this is a bit speculation for us but to keep this as a possibility and makes sense to some level, feel quite rational. Someone who starts the task, and if he has option, he would like to finish the task. If there are not many Vinash forces, he will come in a situation where he can complete the task. So most of these prophet souls, after they leave the body, there is next saint, who is very well known, significant in history, and that is possibly the part of the prophet continuing afterwards. For example, after Christ, the next big name in Christianity is Saint Paul. And Saint Paul is the one who put together Bible with authority. He knew what Christ said, what Christ did not say. He was able to edit it and put it the right way from what apostles spoke and what the different people. He edited it, and he said, no, this is not to be seen as just a variation of Judaism. It is a separate religion. And so then you will see the same pattern with other religions. And that next birth and the part continues in the establishment of the religion. And then further down the line, we will also see that there is a king that is born, and sometimes an emperor, and he also continues to work for that task. Like in Christianity, and, you know, the whole Christianity changed, and that region become Christian region. Why? Because of Constantine, Emperor Constantine. And he became Christian and changed this whole Roman Empire, made it Christian. And so very, very likely that same soul continues in the task of the establishment, but not, then his karma takes him and he becomes the emperor. Higher birth than the emperor is the sage in the saint. But as we are saying, deity, from deity, next phase is the warrior, and then the same soul becomes merchant. Shudra also. These phases, they apply to all souls, right from deities to prophets to every soul, except the supreme soul. Supreme soul remains the same. The rest, all souls go to lose the power as they go down the journey. Anything Sarah want to add, or anyone want to ask anything? We also have Muhammad here, he's sitting with us here. So if you want to ask anything, add anything, you feel free.
These are like beautiful secrets of the continuity of the kingdoms, and how you can't engineer it. You can't engineer who becomes emperor, but nothing is accidental. It's another way of accepting things as they are. But I guess the message underneath is to be free, because that is what the souls who have power. They're the form of that freedom, and they have their own mission actually. No other comments here right now.
Mhm. Now we are coming to the story of the Confluence age. Yesterday we spoke about Confluence age. We spoke Confluence age, the time where the new knowledge comes. And we also said new knowledge comes from God. And how does God bring the new knowledge to here? We are here at present. So in this knowledge, we see the God place part at the physical level. That is the important thing for us. So we all are in the home, and this is the home of souls, home of God also. But He plays the part in the physical world. Story of Brahma Kumaris is the story of the Confluence age, and it is a story of the birth of the Supreme Soul, His incarnation. Just as the prophetic incarnations happen, in the same way, the supreme incarnation happens. With prophetic incarnation, they have a different part to the part played by the supreme soul. Prophet souls have their part, and supreme soul has his part. What happens with the prophet souls? We saw that during the first half, there are deities, there are golden age, silver age, soul conscious. There are no need of prophets. But prophets come from the copper age onwards. Different prophets, different places, different times. And what the part they play, you would like to tell what is the difference between prophets, part played by the prophets, and part played by God? What would be the difference? Do you want to make a guess? So here we say God's incarnation happens here. What would be the main difference between part played by prophets and part played by God?
The time that comes after it is totally transformed, whereas with the prophets, they are not bringing the shift.
Yeah. But in the scheme of things, just like when you are seeing a tree that is growing, different cells, there are different cells come, there are cells come to open the branches up, and there are some cells come to start a new tree. A new shoot comes, and it creates a new tree. There is a difference between those cells that create a new branch and cells that create a new tree. That is the difference. So when these prophets come, after them come the souls of that branch, that religion. And prophet souls put a foundation for the sustenance of that branch, slow down the fall. Other souls are coming, but spiritual sustenance of those souls. They got a different structure. In one religion, there may be emphasis on law, another religion emphasis on love, another service, charitable actions, in different ways. But they create some kind of a discipline, but keeping in mind that soul has to be protected. There has to be some level of righteousness. Yes, they have to practice some level of purity. They have to protect themselves from fall. So they create a structure. There are high standards for some, and if you can't follow the high standards, at least follow some standards so you don't fall completely. So that is a structure created in different religions. But the idea is to slow down the fall, to stop Ravan. They do not remove Ravan, they don't aim to remove Ravan, but they try to restrain Ravan. Like they might say a little bit, and they don't eat such just kill animals, but you can kill animals on a certain day or certain reason, something like that. Eat certain kind of meat, not all kind of meat. They reduce but they don't say that that has removed Ravan. So that is not the aim of that time, in the copper age and the iron age. The structures are to slow down the fall. God's incarnation happens at the confluence age, and his task is to remove Ravan. His task is the creation of the new tree. And the new tree, starts with the golden age. deity world starts. So that is the part played by God. God is like a seed of the new tree. It is like it is not compromise with Ravan. We have to remove Ravan. That is what you will notice. Sometimes people ask, what is the difference between such and such scripture and knowledge? You hear knowledge is difference is this. When you see in a subtle way, here is a method to remove Ravan. If anyone wants to understand this game properly, Ravan and Maya, and then there is knowledge there, and there is a method to eradicate, the whole foundation of what is evil is Ravan, and it can be removed. So that starts in 1936. That is, as I said, story of God is the story of Brahma Kumaris. And in 1936, the first sign of this, people were able to see what happened when man, just like all the incarnations happen in a human beings. In the same way here, that a man who was in northern India, his name was Lekraj. And the province was Sindh. So and he was like a merchant, having his own family life and not planning to to do anything on this scale. That was not his idea of life. He was, minding his own business kind of thing. And in 1936, a sudden change. People noticed the change, and he noticed the change. And big thing that happened was started getting visions. That is the way it all started in him. He started getting visions. And with the visions, different visions coming, and he saw the future, he saw the golden age, he saw his own future. He also saw the destruction of this civilization. He saw God in the different times, different visions. And he was, I need to get even a vision of 10 seconds is seen as a huge achievement or a gift from God. And he was getting all these visions. He did not know why he should be getting vision. Curious, he is trying to understand this, but remaining silent and introspective, trying to reflect on what he is experiencing. And then, next thing that happened, whenever he would be looking at anyone, they would go into trance. They would experience, visions. They would see things, or it would just disappear. Go into trance, close the eyes, and after 10 minutes they open the eyes. "Oh, what did you see?" And they would say, "I saw God, I saw heaven, I saw this, and I saw deities." So he was trying to think, what is going on here? Am I God? What is happening? This kind of some questions. And at one point, uh, someone else who was going into trance, she spoke to him and told him that it is a task of God happening. God is using your body, and it is the time of the big transformation of this human world. It is, we are in the Iron Age, and it is next age is to start, and it is the God's task is has started. your body will be used for this task. And the best thing you can do is just surrender. Which means each one has got your own ideas and your idea of what you want to do and with your life, and you got your each one has their priorities in the life. It may be you're connected with your family or connected with your job, complete something. And he was told, the best thing you can do is surrender, drop all your plans. Now apply yourselves for this. What God does, let Him do your mind, body, just offer it to God. And he had that strength to do this, and that's why his body was chosen, maybe. So he was able to surrender, and use the body, use the time, used his wealth, for whatever that was required. So this is the time when the incarnation of God happened in his body, 1936, around that time onwards. And the the prophet soul, if we can use the word prophet, but we don't use the word prophet actually, but the supreme soul here, supreme soul who was using the body, we call him Shiva. In Hindi, it is without a Shiv, and the word Baba it gets used as a word of endearment. That word Baba is used for anyone with adult with respect. The parent, father would be called Baba. So we call him Shiv Baba, and the short version of it is just Baba. So when we are using the word Baba, we are using it for the incorporeal Supreme Soul, not bodily being. Body was used, but we know body is used by Baba. Baba means Supreme Soul. And then whatever that was spoken through that medium, through that body, we call them murlis. And murli is a word, just means flute or flute recital. And in the early days, people felt this was like music for them. Whatever they were hearing, it was like their soul. Those who came that time, they were searching for this for a long time. Or there was an inner desperation to to meet God and and understand the secret truth. And so it was like music, and they called it Murli, and that word still continues, Murli, and we are using that word for words spoken by God through the body of Dada Lekraj. In time, Dada Lekraj was called Brahma. Brahma is like a name that exists in mythology, but he was called Brahma by Baba. So we do not call him Lekraj anymore. We call him Brahma Baba. And Baba is, as was said, is a term of endearment, and we use that word for Brahma. You want to say anything? Feel free to ask. So this was a big thing for the human population, the part of God happening in a physical level. Uh, there is an understanding things happen silently in an incognito way, and those who have destiny to hear it, they will hear it. It is a bit like that. Those who have the destiny, they will come in contact. but it happens incognito. So things happen like this silently. The task is happening. God's task, it is carrying on, and the right people in different countries. Now we are here, for example. They all, those who are ready, they come to know. So this journey continued from 1936, and by 1938, they moved from that city where they were in, moved to Karachi. That time it was United India, and uh, the total number of people who just moved and stayed in a campus together, it created a community. There were about 450 of them. They lived in that campus. Large majority of them were females and very some men. But that is the way it happened, uh, and Baba, Shiv Baba, and Brahma Baba, and they were getting the murlis every day. They were sustained. Uh, it was a life where they are with their spiritual teacher, and they were getting the guidance and studying and learning, and they had their own little groups for discussions, and but they were also doing their duties and to manage their but no contact with outside world. They were staying in that community in almost like in a campus, and that continued for 14 years. In 1950, they moved out of Karachi. They moved to Mount Abu. Mount Abu is in India. In Karachi, in between there was a partition. In 1947, there was partition. And so some years later, they moved to Mount Abu in India. You want to, Sarah, want to add anything? Or
Just a question in the chat. How old was Lake Raj when he got the visions?
60. In this case, it was 60 years. So in that sense, it is different. With other prophets, it happens at 30 years. And this is like a task of the father, different.
So it took Dada Lake Raj some time to understand what was going on. He himself wasn't sure at the beginning.
It was like that, and the knowledge also, one day the first lesson would come, next day it would be lesson 4, and next day lesson 7, and he was trying to make sense of it along with others, how to make sense of what they are hearing, and the jigsaw puzzle got solved as time passed. So until then, Brahma Baba himself was trying to understand what is this, what is going to happen next, what is, like we have heard Sanjeevani, yeah, all these sessions. And all these lessons, 100% of the essence of it is coming from the Murlis. And now we have got a very clear structure. We can sort of, understand it, rationalize it. But in the 1930s, it was not that kind of structure. So Brahma Baba has to try and make sense of how to understand this. He has his own ideas based upon the religion he was born and his upbringing, and to understand what is wrong in his earlier thinking and what is right, and to change his basic notions. That was his homework. So that was happening during this 1930s, and 1940s.
Like coming out of one's own programming and how the process to really grasp something that is completely new, that
Yes.
is.
And the meditation practices, they from what they understood, they also realized they have to put this into practice and create time to experience it, whether it is soul consciousness, recognizing body consciousness, there's different, stopping certain habits, keeping a chart. They were like students, having their own structure of study and their efforts. So in 1950s, they moved to Mount Abu, and very soon after that, they started moving out of the campus and started doing centers in different cities. Until then, they did not know that this knowledge was going to go anywhere else. They thought it is just, that they are going to make effort for themselves. But now that new chapter opened where this knowledge is to reach others, and that was so some left the Mount Abu, uh, and the place in Mount Abu that base is called Madhuban. Madhuban is like the Mount Abu is a place of that town, that time a village, and Madhuban is the campus ashram. So they started living Madhuban, going to different cities. There's no one there. They sort of make connections and start the activities, meet people, and some starts coming, and gradually someone would get the you know recognize, realize, and then it becomes a big activity, big movement. So that was happening from 1950 onwards. So big cities, main cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, those kind of cities, and then other cities, and from the main cities, the invitations. Once the knowledge starts, then they say, "Oh, and I got a place in some another city. Shall we create a program for my friends in that place?" This kind of a process starts, and it went into other cities. It very quickly, the networking starts without Facebook, and then in 1970s, the activity moved beyond India. First, it came to London and some other cities like Hong Kong in 1950s. And then from there, it moved to other cities in Europe and America, and so that happened from 1970s. Sorry, so that activities worldwide. So today, it is now in 2026. It is, I would imagine, it is in almost all countries. At least large majority, something like more than 170, something like this. That kind of most countries on the planet. But in large movement is still in India. India, we use the word Bharat. India is a name, but ancient name for India is Bharat, and then that is where the main interest lies, and there is a momentum, the bigger momentum in Bharat. Right. Now we are coming back to incarnation. Murlis were coming through the body of Brahma Baba. In 1969, Brahma Baba left body. He was 93 years of age. And so age, their body has always limitations. So he left the body. And others did not know what is to happen next. They were curious about this whole big transformation. They never had a thought that he will leave the body and they will have to deal with their life without him. So he left the body in 1969, and now what happens? 3 days later, he leaves the body on 18th of January. On 21st of January, you know, one senior sister by name Dadi Gulzar, she was a trance messenger. There were many trance messengers in at that time amongst in the institution. Trance messenger, they can leave the body at will and bring message from God. And it happens even now. So that was Dadi Gulzar was one of them. And Dadi Gulzar left the body, went to Baba, and so on 21st of January, she was given this task after the cremation of the body. She was given this task of bringing the message from Baba. So she went into trance, and some time later, something like half an hour or something later, when the eyes opened, it was Baba in the body. Baba was speaking through the body, and then they immediately brought microphone and things like that, tried to listen what was being spoken, and Baba spoke, and that task will continue, and Baba's part will happen through this body now, new chariot, new instrument. Dadi Gulzar's body will be used by Baba. And Baba continued to come through the body of Dadi Gulzar from that moment onwards. And they are still Murlis, but we use the word Avyakta Murlis. The differentiation between the Murlis before and Murlis after. Everything that was spoken through the instrument from 1969, or at least all those, there is a record, and it is available. We have morning class structure every day, and those Murlis are heard. We get opportunity to hear the Murlis, and that happens. And those Murlis are like we don't have a scripture. We don't have uh, that kind of a way of studying knowledge, but we have got Murlis that we study.
What would you say is the aim within the, is it like, because sometimes the word enlightenment is used?
Yeah, we do not use the word enlightenment with what I don't know what the meaning. Different people might be using it with different meaning, but in essence, our aim is to remove Ravan. Ram comes to remove Ravan. So here, Baba's task is to remove Ravan, and when Ravan is totally removed, our inner life becomes one with the 100% soul consciousness. And that is what the aim is. That is Baba's aim. And the word Baba uses for this is karmatit. yeah, with its meaning, but as long as we understand, if you can use the word perfection at a soul level, soul with no, you're not dangling into that foreign world, that you understand the story, you may be involved in that story, but the soul is having that extra attention not to go into that story world and create bondages.
And someone who feels very connected to one of the main religions come to these ideas and still feel congruent with maybe beliefs that they've had, maybe because we might have taken support from religious ideas. Is it something I have? Does it
Yeah,
contribute?
we all have got this background. I myself had some affiliation and feeling loyalty. But at that time, I remember, there came a time I was sort of saying that this is absolutely what I need. I understand this. I have to put this into practice. But there was a feeling of loyalty to something else, and I felt, am I disloyal in some form? If I am practicing this was a question that came to me, and when I was, you know, as if, in front of a photograph, photograph of the other teacher, I got a feeling I will be better, better follower of that religion if I get the essence right. And that is what would be, I might suggest, It's like say someone is a Christian. You'll be better Christian if you remove Ravan. Christ will be happy with you. It is a bit like that. You will be better Muslim if you get the essence right. At this external level, there may be all kinds of, ideas, people, that is going on, individuals, human. But at a deep level, you will find you will be a better Christian or whatever. The essence of everyone is to remove Ravan. And we need a good method to remove Ravan. One time I was talking, there was a gathering group, and we were talking in one gathering, and there was a priest in the gathering, this is in Cambridge, and two ladies, they got into some kind of argument that Christianity, we are, it doesn't happen much in this country at all. But in this case, they had come to like a heckler. In some sense, they were saying this is not a Christian, and this is Christianity is better, important. And we were hearing it, what she said, and I was hearing, and others were hearing. And that priest said, can he speak? And he got up and he started speaking. And he said he had been listening to other discussions. He said, um, we all the religions and Christians also, and need to unite together and remove Ravan. So the priest himself was saying this, and it solved the situation. I didn't have to answer.
When we identify that creates the peacelessness and defensiveness, and that is the ironic thing when we have a system which is about unity, community, harmony. And if we identify, I suppose we could also identify with these ideas, but it's the aim is to introspect and become master within for Sita. So yeah.
Any comments or questions from anyone? We are getting this little uh, history background and big news. And sometimes it is such a news for me also. It is too big. I wanted to, as if I didn't hear it, this kind of thing. But um, but at the same time, I said I want to find out more about this. I want to do my research to know more. And that is what I might say. It is a big statement and big news, but not to dismiss it, but do research and find out more.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can hear things, but the what it really means is almost too big. Um, and that reflects when we are kind of managing. This is perhaps our institutions and philosophies have been all about managing the problems of Ravan and the ego, and many would be like, you can't remove it, different things. This is a completely separate effort. And with the yoga, it's more about, can I handle the wonder? It's a different programming entirely. Can we to grasp immortality and this physical world becomes your gift? It needs like seeing in an independent way in order to get the cleanliness perhaps of the model. And that's very interesting. Someone's commenting they've enjoyed hearing more about the history, and it's been helpful.
And now then we spoke about Avyakt Murlis through Dadi Gulzar. And I was very fortunate. And we are all fortunate in different ways. And the Confluence Age is a time mm, where we all are fortunate in different reasons. But I came across these ideas in 1980s, early 1980s, 82. And so from 1982 or 83 onwards, I have been uh, to Mount Madhuban and had opportunity to listen in person these meetings and have personal meetings with Baba also. And they all have their own uniqueness and experience. And that used to happen, when we used to stay there, it used to happen almost every alternate day, this kind of thing. Baba used to come, and after some hours, 4, 5, 6 hours, Baba used to leave the body. And then that was the way things were happening at that time. And we didn't think too much. We didn't think things are going to change. And same way, right now, we might be thinking things are going to be remain like this forever. But confluence age is not permanent. Things change. So also with mm, Avyakt Baba, it started in 1969, but then in year 2020s, around that time, some date soon after that, Dadi Gulzar, she left the body also. So Dadi Gulzar, you know, when they are leaving the body, there is a angelic part starts. So they have spent their time. There are many who have achieved that karmatit stage, and has that is a transformation has happened. So that is at the individual level. So there is a huge momentum that has happened, movement, people bringing about a change in them. This has been happening, for all these years since 1936. Serious effort has been happening, and they have brought about this change. They are there. The souls are there. And Baba's part will continue. Baba has got a promise. His part will be there until the golden age is established. That is continuing. Its form changes. It is wherever there is a serious uh, sincerity and uh, and effort. Baba is involved in it. Baba will be there. So this is the story of the present time, and but we can be in Madhuban. We can be in that atmosphere. Visit the place. Those who follow some of the lifestyles and disciplines, they can go and be in those gatherings that is happening, and the activity is continuing. Sorry about this camera. Camera has got some limitations. After a certain time, it shows no signal, but at least we can hear the words. But we'll be having rooms very soon, and we meet after the rooms.
Yeah, thank you. Just acknowledging the message in the chat. We can come to that after the room break. So the question could be for discussion, what is the significance of the Confluence age? Just to sort of get the refresh and share on that. And what is the journey to becoming Kamatit? Like this perfection was word used synonymous. So I hope it's fine. You want to add anything, Prashant?
No, it's good.
So we'll see you back in just over 10 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. Would Sandy like to share some reflections from today? And
Sure, why not? Yeah. So discussion was around the journey to Kamatit and why. We understand that to become Kamatit, we have to renounce so many things. Is it worth to renounce relationships, possessions, positions, jobs, the car, the computer, the smartphone? Huge thing to renounce. Are we willing to? On the other hand, just to know that we don't really renounce them, just to shift the attitude. Yes, they are there for us just to use. They are not ours. So it doesn't matter what happened to them, where they may got lost, or we can finish, and we know it's not ours, but for our use only. So in a way, we become free from really the attachment to them. Knowing that Kamatit stage is just becoming totally free from bondages, from Ravan, from Maya's tricks and maneuvers that they want us to stay in their kingdom as much as possible. And we got the method to just set them free, make them zero, no impression, no impact. Actually, this is becoming Kamatit, and the gifts are huge. Not only free, also lightness, 100% love, happiness, and bliss. This is the promise. And the significance of the confluence age is huge, because this is the only time in the cycle that we can reverse the spiral down with God's help. Those who realize and understand what God comes to do and embrace his knowledge and experience and applying them, they are the fortunate one. And this is the one of the significance. And the other is that after one realizes, then it can help actually God to bring the good news, the best message ever to all humanity. And he has the tools to do it. Basically by being like God is. When one is embracing and revealing his virtues and powers and let them become bigger and bigger, then it is shown, it inspires others, it's becoming an example for others. So it's so fortunate for those who realize this. So it's double winning, not only for oneself, being free and committed, but helping others to become free and committed. Thank you. Shit.
Thank you, Sanjay. I'm thinking, as you said, we can't actually own anything. The invisible traveler can't own the body, doesn't actually have a say when the exit is, so there's not a possible purchase on anything. So we either surrender to confusion or to clarity in that way. And I was thinking that the positioning of this philosophy is of the inherent goodness. And earlier we had an in-person retreat here, and there was some discussion around feeling guilty or not good enough, the worthiness aspect, and that this Ram and Sita are alike. And this was very uplifting, that we come with the goodness and fullness, that golden age stage where we're honorable guests, and the aim is to leave in the same honor. And Ram is seeing us in our honor, so that vision and equality, which is a very different message, and it's quite something to grasp. But the simple aspect, as you say, it's being like him, experiencing the stage as he experiences it. So we're not dangling in like the needy. So it would be good, it'd be great to hear from others your thoughts. There's one question that came up. What is the plan now? There are no new Murleys, you said. So what's the plan?
God's plan. We will know how it it manifests. No one knew how things were going to happen in 1920s, but even nothing was revealed in 1936 what will happen in 1938. They did not know how things will happen in 1969. Things happen, and yeah, and so there is a big plan. We remain curious to see what's the next scene of the Confluence age. But the Murlis are there for us to study. We got enough on our plate. That is our homework.
Hope that helps. Be happy to hear any other thoughts on this. Yeah, that's the point. We have a lot already. When you study the Murlis, they actually give you the secrets. And when we experience that mind, there can be a feeling of that personality and we get the perspective. So in a way, there's a presence there. There's a relationship. So doesn't get limited by whether there's a new Murli or not. So there aren't any other questions right now.
So we will go to the history, if it is okay. We will be seeing some slides.
We shan't be sharing.
Can you see the slides?
Yes, can you? We can
Yeah,
see slides, but we
very
can't
happy.
see you.
Happy to.
Yeah.
So this is just for those who have not seen before, Brahma Baba, the physical body image. These are some early images, possibly in 50s, and one who is standing next to Brahma Baba is Mama. She was one of the senior instrument at that time. Mama literally means mother. So at a physical level, she acted like a mother to this in that campus and community. You will see this another scene, similar gathering, and this is more in the late 50s, I think. Looks like. Different photographs, different. You see here the train, and they are this is the time of 1950, traveling from Karachi to Madhuban, Mount Abu, and this is after arriving in India, the train journey from there to Abu. That is what is happening here. The name Brahma Kumaris is a very feminine name, and you get an idea why it is called Brahma Kumaris, feminine. The gathering was disproportionately sisters at that time. Here you are seeing one side is Mama, other side is Kumarika, and later on she became the instrument to. After Brahma Baba left body, she was looking after the institution. This is photograph of Mama and others. You see Dadi Kumarika there in the photograph. And next to her is Ratan Mohini Dadi. They all have left bodies now. Same Dadi Kumarika. This is Dadi Janki, who was instrument to look after this activities outside of India. This was the photograph of the gathering in London in late 70s. So you see, you may recognize some faces there, but in the center you see Dadi Janki, young Dadi Janki there. And next to her is Sudesh Didi. I don't recognize everyone, but you get an idea. There are these faces, yeah. This is Madhuban, view from Madhuban. This is inner space inauguration at Regent Street in London. This is queue Brahmins visiting the inner space. Near Madhuban, there is a mountain, so many go to the mountain at sunset. We call it Baba's Rock, and this is the view from there. This is we call it Tower of Peace, and in Madhuban campus. Another campus called Gyan Sarovar. Yeah, it is opportunity now, connected with all of our different days, different activities, different subjects. Anything you want to say, ask, we then create some time for practice. And we will also hear Baba speaking through Dadi Gulzar. We will have that video also. But anything you want to share, you're okay to come in the camera if you want to come in the camera and speak. We can offer that.
Actually, I realized that the ability to unmute was not there, so maybe we'll just.
Such a simple thing for us. We start with the best sight, best intellect. That is all. And we see the full map. And in the full map, we can see ourselves. We can see the true self. Until then, we're as if seeing the shadows. Now we are seeing the true self. And we are seeing the true family. We are seeing the true home. We are seeing our life with God and worthiness to be loved by God, as if a right to belong to God. The true self saying this, whilst observing the story and observing the the theater and the variety with complete independence. It is a story. And there are many stories in the world. This is just another story. That is the way the true self is seen. True self is the one we call the invisible layer. He knows he's lucky. He knows everyone is lucky. All are lucky. Because the truth is immensely beautiful for everyone. We just need to see it the right way up. We need to see it, the true self to start with, not just the shadows. And just we seeing the extraordinary truth of everyone, we as if bring light. Our attention brings light and makes it easy for others to see themselves. They will be able to see how lucky they are. As we continue on our journey, we remember this option to use our sight, use our intellect, see this extraordinary truth. Understand that the nature is our friend, God is our friend. What else do we need? Nature and God wants to give the best at every level. Thank you.
Feels like a homework for life to be busy with the best. And it raises the thought, what is it? Like mind might go somewhere else, but what is that? Nature is a friend, God is a friend, changing the setting and inquiring to get that positive spiral. And I love this. We're seeing the shadows before, and now it's like seeing what is shadow, not the shadow, feels like the definition of yoga itself. Before we were kind of caught in the self-image. That is the highest possibility for the mind, is something for us all to experiment with. Thank you, and thanks to everyone for your presence and contribution, just interest, and we'll meet again. We're going to finish with a drill from Madhaban, and if you're new to the from Baba, he's actually speaking but also seeing the soul. So it's good to keep the eyes open. The idea we are meeting the soul, so conscious gaze. So go to Madhaban. Thank you.
एक तरफ मनसा सेवा, दूसरे तरफ मनसा exercise.